Hi, I'm James and welcome to episode 14 of season 3 of A Brief History of Nothing on the 9th of February 2016. And on this day, we had in 1555 the Bishop of Gloucestershire, John Hooper, who happened to be the wrong religion because Mary I liked Catholics. He wasn't a Catholic, he was Anglican and was a big proponent of Anglicanism, so he got barbecued. For that he got burnt at the stake.
Yes.
Because he was the wrong religion.
Yes.
And a little more recently, in 1950, you may have heard of the Mccarthy Trials. Well, they started on this day in 1950 when Senator McCarthy of the US Senate decided that communists were infiltrating the State Department.
Okay.
I don't think there's much between there.
Well, there probably was something between his ears, but it was a very delusional something.
It was a very delusional something, and something
delusional
that wasn't
and paranoid something.
I think there wasn't a lot of cache on the CPU there. No.
Right.
And another American eccentric-y one is that in 1964, Ed Sullivan said to America, "Look, here's the Beatles,"
Yes.
and they got to perform on American television for the first time. And in 1987, I just put this in because it's just a silly, quirky one.
Well,
That they decided to finally stick a lady in 1987. They just finally decided to stick a ladies' toilet off the New York Stock Exchange luncheon club. They just finally decided that women also need to go to the toilet.
that's good. How long is it? What, about a century?
Yeah, something like that.
No, so...
Yeah, since they had the idea of, wait, we can sell bits of companies. That might work.
That might work, yes.
Alright.
You can make a fortune doing that.
Yes.
Alright, now, here's one of your heroes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not wearing it tonight, but sometimes you might be wearing me a little thing called the periodic table. This little thing here, we can show you the general shape of it. It was the beginnings of that were invented by a little known guy called Dmitri Mendeleev.
Yes.
Whose birthday was yesterday, on the 8th, and he's responsible for our modern periodic table, which many chemists and physicists rely on. There were people that had made periodic type tables before, but there sort of was a bit of a novelty. It wasn't really a thing, but he really thought there was a thing behind it. He really went for it.
Yes, but most people thought it nice, but no functional.
Yeah, it was just a silly quirk.
Yes, but he thought, no, this has merit.
This has merit. And several elements, he actually predicted several elements. In fact, one of the most famous ones he called aluminium. We now know as gallium. If you've ever seen the prank where you get a spoon and you hand it to someone to stir the hot coffee with and the spoon melts in the coffee, that's gallium.
Right.
And will melt at 30 degrees. So it will melt in your hand. So if you hold on a piece of gallium, melt in your hand. That was actually discovered in his lifetime and actually vindicated his position.
Yes.
Because he said it should be a metal that has a very low melting point there below aluminium.
Yeah, one below aluminium.
Yeah, the one directly below it. And there's a few others that he predicted the properties of. And a couple of them, other chemists discovered, oh, we discovered your element. And he said, no, you've got the wrong properties. Your data's all wrong. And it turns out that Mendeleev was actually correct.
Yes, but didn't he realise that they had to go in sort of families too?
Yeah, so basically, essentially, they didn't know about this far left column because they studied chemistry based on reactivity at the time, purely on bioactivity. So they knew about these ones, so they knew that if you threw some of these in water, they fizzed and exploded and carried on silly. They found out if you put some of these with some of those, that they went all bright and sparkly and all carried on a bit. They discovered that some of these sort of had different ways they could bond in the middle and were very hard, shiny metals. These ones down the bottom weren't really known about much at the time. Some of them were known. But the groups, and I'll show it to you again, the groups here are based on how the electrons actually orbit the atom.
Right. Had other people had organised them and organised their tables by atomic mass, hadn't they?
Atomic mass, or in that case it was called atomic weight. People really didn't know about protons and electrons and neutrons at the time, but they knew about atomic mass by weighing certain, volumes of gas in flasks at certain temperatures and pressures, and they realised, oh wait, that atom must be heavier than that one, and they knew about that. But they realised it was actually something different, atomic number, which wasn't known about much at the time. But atomic number is how many protons there are, and if the atom's neutral, therefore how many electrons there are in an atom.
Right. So that's how Mendeleev organised his.
Eventually, yes, because he figured out, wait, there's something different. No, that's not mass, because some of them are actually, the masses are actually backwards. So all the atomic numbers go up consecutively across the table, but some of them actually, the masses are actually reversed.
Right.
And there are a couple, and I can't remember them now, but yes, there were a few that are actually, the atom one up from it's actually lighter than the atom before it.
But it fits in where it's supposed to be.
It all fits in. It all fits in, and so we owe him a great gratitude of debt. So without him, modern chemistry would be completely different and probably a lot more difficult.
And say that our lives would be completely different without modern chemistry would be an understatement.
Yes, so all those who are afraid of the chemicals, try living before the chemicals. See how you go. See how you go on with that one, and get back to us.
Okay, now, birthdays on this day. Famous people that got born. Okay, we'll kick off with a new guy. 1404, Constantine the 11th, the last Byzantine emperor, was born on this day.
Byzantine.
Whatever.
English is hard.
English is hard. Now, a man whose name lives on in the automotive world, Maybach. Willem Maybach was born on this day in 1846. He's the German engineer that designed the first Mercedes. Okay, now 1891, award-winning actor Ronald Colman from England. He won an Academy Award for Tale of Two Cities. He was born on this day in 1891. And rock drummer from the Shadows, Brian Bennett, which makes me smile because coincidentally my former father-in-law was Brian Bennett, not the same one.
Not the same guy. It would be awesome if it was.
Yes, it would.
But no.
Yeah, 1940, Brian Bennett was born. 1942, singer-songwriter Carole King. I think everybody knows who Carole King is.
And if you don't know who she is, you probably have heard her songs before.
Yes. Now, Australian media identity and person that a lot of Australians love to hate.
Yes.
Is Darren Hinch was born in 1944.
Yeah, he's our. If you're wondering who Darren Hinch is, he's like our Rush Limbaugh.
Okay.
He's very conservative.
I don't think he is that conservative. I think he just says what it says to get ratings.
Yeah.
1970, cricketing legend for Australia and the cricketing world, Glenn McGrath. He was born on this day in 1970. And to finish off our birthdays, a special birthday. In 1947, a man named Jim Cox was born, former first grade rugby league referee and touchline referee in the state of origins here in Brisbane. He was born on this day in 1947. So happy birthday, Jim.
Anyway, well that's us for another week. Now, next week, we may be on SoundCloud as well.
Yes, where if you find the looking at us a bit too rugged, you can just listen to us.
Yes.
So we'll be putting a podcast up on SoundCloud. So for those who think there's just too much looking at us, you can just listen. So anyway, if you like us, like us. If you don't like us, inflict us on your friends. And we'll see you on the dark side. We got cookies.
Bye.
Bye.